Hey, hello. My name's Dean, and if you haven't followed me over the past couple of weeks, then maybe you don't know, but I've done a polyphasic sleep experiment, which means, I did the Uberman sleep schedule, which means that every 4 hours I would nap for about 20 minutes, and that would be all of the sleep that I would get. I did that for about 3 weeks, and well, if you have followed me, then you know that I did a lot of experimenting, did a lot of crazy things that maybe you're not supposed to be doing, just to figure out, if I could get away with it. And near the end of it, I felt like I could have gone on, but I just decided that it would be better for me to just reset, which means I slept for about a week now. I kept my naps, but I also slept at night. So that's the difference there. And I would do a second version of the experiment. And if this one doesn't work, I'll probably just call it quits for now, because it's taking a big toll on what I can and cannot do with my life. So I am starting the new experiment today. It's Tuesday. I wanted to start on Monday, but I had a bit of a fun time in the weekend, so I wanted to rest another day. And for today, I kind of just wanted to share with you the three biggest lessons that I've learned over the first experiment that I hope will help me succeed this time around. So I'll be a little more strict about things, and I think now that I know what to expect and I've addressed some major issues that I'll talk about in a minute, I think that I'll have a much better time now that I know what to expect and have those things under control. So the three biggest lessons. Number one, timing. So I think ever since I started research, the biggest thing about this thing is that you're trading you're trading sleep efficiency for flexibility, basically. So instead of sleeping whatever you want for 8 hours at a piece, or whatever you want loosely at a piece, you are trading that. Instead of that, you're going to sleep 2 hours a day, but you have to do them exactly on time, those naps. And that's something that I played around with a little bit. And so let me tell you what I think is and is not possible from those experiments. So the first thing is the naps definitely need to be on time. I mean, definitely, I say that during adaptation. I think that's very important because, as we know from Steve Pavlina, after adaptation, he started being more flexible with naps, and it was very much possible for him. I just kind of rushed into that. I was like, I feel tired some of the time. I just want to nap at those times. Maybe that would be better. I tried it out, and it felt really great at first. But after about a week or so, I definitely noticed that my nap quality deteriorated over that time, and that's where I decided to stop. Right, I could either go back to the schedule or wait a week or so and then just start off the schedule, which is what I'm doing now. So my schedule looks like 2 6 10, and then again 2 6 10, and that's 24 hours, right? So those are my every 4 hour naps, and I will be calling that my core schedule, and I will stick to that relentlessly until I can say with confidence that I've adapted. That's when I'll try free napping again, but I have to say, I will try implementing it more slowly and safely than just throw the schedule out the door as I did before, which was, like I said, a little bit too soon, I believe. Now, the other thing, though, is so that's my core schedule, which I won't deviate from. But the other thing that we've learned from Steve Pavlina and that I've also implemented is doing extra naps. So I call them halfway point naps, for example, is when I would nap at 2 and then also at 4 and then at 6 again. So that's a halfway point nap at 4. And they really, really, really helped me get through the night, especially at first where I didn't have the light under control, which is coming up soon. They really helped me out, and I think they were no problem at all. I don't think they caused any issues. I think they solved a lot of risk of oversleeping, and I think oversleeping or even risking oversleep because you're so tired is not worth staying up. I think those extra naps not only reduce the risk of oversleeping, but they also allow the body for another chance to get REM sleep in those 20 minutes naps. So I even think that it might be helpful to adaptation, not only because you're not oversleeping, but also because you're giving your body more opportunities to learn to nap. So as long as you keep the core schedule, that's my belief at the moment, as long as you keep the core schedule, you can nap at the halfway points, and I might at times even just introduce a random nap if I really feel it's necessary. So I'm not sure how that will turn out, if that's, but one thing is clear, sticking to the core schedule is what I will do until I'm adapted. But I'm keeping the extra naps. They were wonderful. They were lifesavers at times, and I really didn't feel like they were causing any problems. So that's it for the timing. The second big lesson that I've learned has to do specifically with the nighttime. So if you have followed me over those last couple of weeks, then you know that in the first week I had huge issues with the nights. I literally felt almost like a switch flipped. As soon as the sun came back up in the morning, I felt energized, I felt great, I thought I was adapting wonderfully. And then at night, I would crash completely again. I would need so many naps, sometimes even every hour to even get through it a little bit. I would oversleep at times, I would mess up. And I learned after that week, it suddenly hit me that our lighting is not the best lighting. We have LED lights we have LED lights everywhere, and while they are cheap and very environmentally friendly, they are not very healthy. So there's a lot of research out there that is actually providing us with early evidence that these lights might actually lead to all kinds of mortality causes like heart disease, obesity, Alzheimer's even, diabetes. All of those are linked, so there's a higher risk when you're living with these LED lights on all of those mortality causes. So the way I see it right now is that it's basically like smoking maybe 50 years ago when people didn't even know it was bad for you. I think we're at that same point with LED lights right now. So everyone has them, everyone uses them, and no one has a clue how bad they are for you. Anyway, that's a big rant. I'm gonna do another post on those lights and on the science that's there because I'm very curious myself and I do want to share that. But mostly what you need to know is that I have replaced those lights because I'm actually particularly sensitive to them as well. I've always known that, but now that I started, staying up all night in these lights, it really, really hurt me. So maybe I bought a special light bulb that is supposed to have almost no blue light in them, and that light actually really worked super well. It worked wonders for me. I started being able to get through the nights with a little bit of productive time and, feeling like I could finally adapt. But then that light actually broke, if you know the story, and it's taken me a little bit of time to get a replacement. Now I've sent out the broken one because I really felt like they didn't trust me. I felt like they thought I was lying or something just to get an extra light, and whatever. I'm not gonna make too big a deal of that, but I sent the light back, and now hopefully I'll get my new light soon because it really did make a difference. But in the meantime, actually that light breaking led me to a new discovery that actually we have some halogen lights in the house, and I also bought a couple of extra. They're not that expensive, but they do use more energy over time. So they do use like 3, 4, sometimes 5 times as much as those LED lights. So I don't want to overuse them, but it turns out that halogen lights actually are very close to the spectrum of the sun. They're not perfect, but they are much better than what I had. And I also have some of them dimmable, so I can play around with that. I hope they will get me through the night just fine. And otherwise, I have that other light coming up as well that I can then use for the hardest times, say. But I think the halogen lights should make a big difference. They have at least made a big difference in the evening right now, so yeah. So that's the first thing that helps me get through the night. Second thing that I do to take charge of my nights basically is to have a sort of, I used to call it a morning ritual, but now I call it a wake-up ritual. So what I used to do in the morning, I now do at night. And that basically includes like maybe a small workout, maybe definitely some movement. Then I would take a shower. I would finish that shower with cold, which really wakes me up. And then, maybe I'll do the dishes, but I now keep the dishes for when I'm really tired though. But then I'll set a bulletproof coffee, which is obviously decaf for the experiment because you can't have caffeine. That actually messes things up really badly. But so I set a decaf bulletproof coffee, which basically also signals to my body, you're drinking coffee, so you're waking up. I write in my journal a little bit, and I start like a mini day of work or video games or whatever. And that leads me to the last thing that I do to take control of my nights, and that's actually taking more frequent breaks. So I would definitely always, in my productivity system, if I'm working or playing games, I would always take enough breaks. I try to take a break every hour or so at least, and then move around, maybe grab a snack. I don't always get there, but what I noticed at nights, I need a little bit more than that. So I typically, maybe I'll take a break every 30 minutes, or I would stretch out the break a little bit more, just take it really slowly so I could, waste some extra time, but also recover from that intense focused period. So I try to take more frequent breaks than I typically. I have one night where I was playing a video game with a friend and we played like 3 hours straight, and that really, really wrecked me. And so after that, I started taking more frequent breaks, and that really, really works for me. I can really tell that I could last longer through the night before actually getting that big crash, which tends to still happen. And that's kind of what I'm hoping to get through this time, where it happens and then after a while it doesn't. So hopefully after a week or so, it won't happen again. So that's the second biggest lesson that I've learned. And then the final big lesson that I've learned has to do with what I call zombie mode. And you can definitely take that literally. There comes a time, and I think it's inevitable. I don't think you can do without this, although that would be awesome if you find that. But there comes a time where you're crashing to the point where you're literally a zombie. I had trouble standing on my legs, actually. And you really just can't do anything. You're completely blasted, and you just have to sort of stay awake. You know you have to stay awake, but it's almost impossible. And so what I've learned is, at the one hand, I've come to expect it. I know it will happen. But then on the other hand, I also know it will pass. So the body isn't made to stay in this state for very long. So it's basically signaling, go to sleep, go to sleep. And when you're not doing it, it's gonna like turn over a switch and go like, okay, I'm gonna give new energy. You basically get this second wind, this rebound of energy, and that doesn't always have to be at your next nap. So I think that's very important, at least for me, to know that when zombie mode hits, I just sort of have to power through and not even watch the clock, not even, because the clock literally freezes because you can't do anything. But you don't watch the clock, you're not like, oh, my next nap is in an hour. That's horrible. The feeling is horrible. But actually, you can expect within the hour maybe to get back on your feet, sort of. So it's more of a powering through the state than it is getting to the next nap or something like that. So that's really important to me, is that it will also pass. I have notes for once. I don't typically have notes. So the second thing, so that's one thing, is just knowing it'll happen, expecting it, and then knowing it will pass as well. Then the next thing that I really advise you to deal with zombie mode is to have a whole list even of tasks that you have ready for when this happens. And they need to be mindless tasks. You need to be able to do them with no brain power, because you won't have any. And that's just the way it is. So one thing that I've loved to do is I have this capsule filler that I use to fill up capsules with all kinds of supplements like vitamin C, magnesium, and it's really easy to do, but it takes a lot of time, so it's a perfect activity for that. Another example would be the dishes. I typically leave them for when I do start feeling this crash coming on. And then, other things like cleaning or organizing. I'm reorganizing our home office here to make that into sort of a studio so I can make my courses more effectively and all kinds of things like that. So I think that's a very important thing, is to just have mindless tasks ready, even have a list, because I don't think once you're in this mode, in this zombie mode, you're not going to be like, okay, what am I going to do? I'll make a decision. No, you can't do anything. So you need to have a piece of paper or something of a list ready so that you can see and do the first thing on there. I think that's very, very important. I don't have a physical list. Well, I have a list on my phone, actually. I didn't use it as much as I thought I would, but I do have these tasks ready in my mind. Like the dishes are ready. I can do capsule filling. I can do organizing or cleaning. So very important to know that. And I think the last thing comes back to movement. When you're in zombie mode, do not sit or lie down. You will fall asleep. You will definitely fall asleep. That's what I had the first time I screwed up, was like super zombie mode. I was like, I can't even stand on my legs. I'll lie down real quick and I'll get back up. And I did not get back up very soon. So that's zombie mode. Movement is going to be very important, even if you have to lean against a wall or something. I've had that where I had to just like lean against the wall and then just try, whenever I felt like it was possible, just jumping up and down even, or shadow boxing or dancing or whatever you can think of, just to keep moving, jumping jacks, anything that helps you move. So important. Even I think at one point I lied on my back and cycled with my legs in the air, because that doesn't require balance. You do have to get up real quick after that, or you will sleep. Okay, so that's it for the bullet points. I do want to say about the zombie mode is that I am interested in one more thing, one more experiment that I have to look at, because I kind of don't want to do all these crazy experiments anymore, because I want it to work this time around. But one thing that I do want to test is, in regards to zombie mode, is what if I instantly, when I feel it coming, just take a nap, random nap, 20 minutes, put the timer, will I oversleep because of the zombie mode, or will that actually help me out? That's one thing that I'm dying to test out. So probably the first zombie mode, I'll go like, sleep, put the timer ready, sleep now, and see what happens. If I oversleep, then I won't do it ever again. And if I don't oversleep, I can maybe use that as a strategy until I oversleep or something like that. Okay, 15 minutes. This is a long one, but at least I had it a little bit more structured. I hope you enjoyed this. If you do, let me know, because I am still discovering what kind of content I will make and how I will make it all. So thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. And yeah, wish me luck in my second experiment starting today. See ya in the next one. I will keep logging, by the way, if you're curious. I will keep logging. I might do it a little more structured. We'll see. I don't think so. Sorry. Bye-bye.